Hello everyone, welcome to Automobile Engineering class. I am B. Rakesh, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department. In this session, I am going to explain disc brakes. According to constructional classification, the brakes are divided into two types, drum brakes and disc brakes. In previous class, I explained drum brakes. If you are not attended drum brakes, please go through the description link. Disc brakes. In a disc brake, In a disc brake system, braking is performed by pressing the brake pads against a disc. This disc brake is rotating with the wheel. A disc brake consists of a brake disc, brake caliper. This is the brake caliper and two brake pads. This brake pad indicated with this maroon color. The brake disc is made from cast iron and is bolted to the wheel hub and rotates with the wheel. The caliper, see here, this is the caliper. This is suspended over the disc. The caliper body is mounted on the caliper bracket using two side pins. The caliper bracket is attached to the knuckle. Now see the construction and operation of disc brakes. These are the following parts are available in disc brakes. This one is the rotor or disc. Uh, uh, the rotor having both sides, that is two pads and two shims. This is the piston. This one the piston seal. This is the piston boots. This one is the bleeder cap. This is the bleeder screw. This one is the cylinder body, lock pin. This is mounting bracket. This is the pad clip, pin boots. See here, this is the piston. Piston is attached to the caliper body and held in place by the piston seal and piston boot. The brake pads are, see here, this is the these two are brake pads. These brake pads are placed in between the piston and the disc and are held in position by pad retainers on the caliper bracket. It may be noted that in order to reduce the level of sound produced during braking, uh, shims are assembled. Shims are assembled into the gaps between the pads and piston and caliper body. These shims are assembled into the gaps between the these pads and piston and caliper body. The passages are drilled in the caliper body for hydraulic fluid to enter or leave the caliper body. These passages are also connected to one another for bleeding. When brake pedal is pressed, the hydraulic pressure enters the caliper cylinder, resulting in the piston being pushed out. See this figure, when the brake pedal is pressed, the hydraulic pressure enters the caliper cylinder, resulting in piston being pushed out from the caliper body. This action pushes the inner pad against the brake disc. As the pressure increases, the caliper body moves in opposite direction to the motion of the piston. In this way, the brake disc is sandwiched between the inner pad and outer pad, and braking is performed when the brake pedal is released. When the brake pedal is released, the hydraulic pressure that was uh, directed to the piston is removed. This terminals this terminates braking by allowing the piston to be pulled back to its original position by the elastic force in the piston seal. It may be noted that in case of disc brakes, the friction surface, see here is the friction surface, is constantly exposed to the air, ensuring good heat dissipation, minimizing brake fade. It also allows for self-cleaning as dust and water are thrown off. Unlike drum brakes, disc brakes have limited self-energizing action and making it necessary to apply greater hydraulic pressure to obtain sufficient braking force. This is achieved by increasing the size of caliper pin. The simple design of disc brakes allow the easy maintenance and replacement of pad. When brakes are applied, piston move friction pads into contact with disc, applying equal and opposite force on disc. On releasing brakes, the rubber sealing rings act as return springs and retract piston and friction pads away from the disc. Now see the brief discussion about each and every part in disc brakes. In this first one is caliper. The caliper houses one or more pistons and is mounted on steering knuckles. It is also called as cylinder body. There are basically two types of calipers. In this first one is floating type caliper design, second one fixed caliper. Now see the floating caliper design. See this figure. The floating caliper is more economical and lighter in weight and also requires fewer parts. The floating caliper has either one or two pistons depending upon the application. The piston is located on one side of the caliper. The piston is located on one side of the caliper. The hydraulic pressure the hydraulic pressure from the master cylinder is applied to the piston and thus presses the inner pad against the disc. At the same time, equal hydraulic pressure, that means reaction force, acts on the bottom of the cylinder. This causes the caliper to move to the right. This caliper move to the right and presses the outer pad located opposite the piston against the disc. In general, floating type single piston caliper is used in light cars. Second one is fixed caliper. In this design, caliper is bolted solidly to the steering knuckle. The fixed calipers use a pair of pistons. Are shown in this figure. The fixed calipers use a pair of pistons located on both sides of the caliper, providing equal force to each pad. The caliper can incorporate one or two pistons on each side. See here, the inboard piston applies pressure to the inner pad, and the outboard piston applies pressure to the outer pad. The fixed calipers used on heavy vehicles have two pistons on each side to apply more pressure evenly over a longer pad. In this system, cylinder and piston are placed opposite to each other and disc is running in between uh, these two cylinders. The oil pressure generated in the cylinder causes the brake pads to press against the disc from both sides. This design is larger and heavier. This design is larger and heavier than the floating caliper. This type of caliper absorb and dissipate more heat. It can withstand a greater number of repeated hard stops without brake fade. Next part is brake disc. The brake disc is made of grey cast iron. There are basically two types. One is this is the solid type. Second one is the ventilated disc. In most cases, these ventilated discs are used due to their superior ability to release heat. This is achieved by making the interior of the disc hollow and allowing air to pass through them. The ventilated disc contain radial veins between its two rubbing surfaces. This is the one rubbing surface, this is the second rubbing surfaces. The ventilated disc contain radial curved veins between the rubbing surface for optimum cooling performance. In general, the ventilated type brake disc is used on front and solid type disc on the rear of four-wheel disc brake systems. Sometimes the brake disc incorporates a brake drum for an internal parking brake assembly. Next one is brake pads. Uh, the brake pad is relatively simple part that consists of a block of friction material. This is the friction material attached to a stamped steel backing plate. The brake pad metal is bonded to the backing plate with a high temperature adhesive. See here, this narrow gap is called slit. A slit is provided on the face of the pad to indicate the allowance limit of pad wear and provide a path for brake dust and gas to escape. Next one is pad wear indicator. A pad wear indicator is sometimes attached to one of the pads. It is a simple steel plate which allows the driver to notice that the pad has worn out to its service limit, that is replacement of pad is required. It produces screeching noise when it comes in contact with the disc. See the second figure, it produces a screeching noise when it comes into contact with the disc. The indicator contacts the disc when the vehicle is moving without the application of brakes. The driver continuously hear this noise whenever vehicle moves, and this gives indication to a driver that the pads needs to be replaced. The replacement of new pads thus prevent the damage of the disc. Otherwise, the weak brake pads can cause irreparable damage to the disc when they come in contact with the disc on application of brakes. Next one is pad to disc clearance adjustment. The automatic adjustment of the pad to disc clearance is done whenever the brake is operated. This adjustment is done by a square cut piston seal uh, which is seated in a machined groove in the cylinder groove. The piston in a normal way moves within the deformable range of the piston seal and is pulled back into its original position. by that amount when the brake is released. When the brakes are applied, the caliper piston moves out toward the disc until the brake pad contacts it. However, when a brake pad wears, the store of the piston has to increase so that the brake pad can still be securely applied to the disc when this stroke is greater than the maximum amount that seal can deform. In that case, the piston will slide. In this case, the piston will slide out of the seal by a certain amount. It may be noted that when the brake is released and hydraulic pressure is reduced, the piston is only pulled back by the distance required for the seal to regain its original shape. As the brake pad wears, as the brake pads wear, the piston continuously moves outward through the seal to maintain proper pad to disc clearance. In this way, automatic clearance adjustment is done. Last part is brake fade. The brake drums and disc are forced to absorb a significant amount of heat during braking. The brake fade describes a condition where heat is generated at a faster rate than a the brake fade describes a condition where that is generated at a faster rate than they are capable of dissipating heat into the surrounding air. It may be noted that during repeated hard stops, overheating may occur and a loss of brake effectiveness or even failures may occur. The brake fades caused by heat are generally of the following two types. One is the mechanical fade and second one is the lining fade. Now see the mechanical fade. The mechanical fade occurs when the brake drum overheats and expands away from the brake lining, resulting in increased brake pedal travel. Second one, lining fade. The lining fade affects both drum and disc brakes and occurs when the friction material overheats to the point where the coefficient of friction drops off. When the coefficient of friction drops off, friction is reduced and the brake ability to convert added heat is reduced. Now see the advantage of disc brakes over drum brakes. Since the disc brakes are non-energized and non-servo brakes, therefore the brake pad pressure is directly proportional to the brake pedal pressure. Thus, the disc brakes are more directionally stable than the drum brakes. A brake disc generally stays cleaner, that is free from water, dust or dirt, than a drum brake. The centrifugal force tends to throw all the contaminants of the disc, whereas the drum's inner friction surface tends to collect them. The disc brake remains much cooler under repeated severe brake application than the drum brake due to increased area which is exposed to the air flowing over it. The clamping action of the disc brake pads causes no distortion of the disc, whereas the spreading action of the drum brake shoes causes the drum to elongate into elliptical or oval shape. This distortion of the drum will cause a lowering of the brake pedal and possible of the ends of the shoes. The brake pads can be easily replaced. These are the few advantages of disc brakes over drum brakes. Now see the disadvantages of disc brakes. The disc brakes are costlier than drum brakes. For stopping the vehicle, higher pedal Higher pedal pressure is required due to lack of self-energizing or servo action. The parking brake is difficult to install on disc brakes. These are the few disadvantages of disc brakes. This is the brief discussion about uh, construction of disc brake and construction and working of disc brakes. Thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe my channel for more updates.